Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders are advised that this video may contain images and voices of people who have died.
Two men have been found guilty of murdering Cassius Turvey in Perth in 2022. Cassius died days after he was assaulted in the Perth suburb of Middle Swan. Reporter Cason Ho joins us now from Perth with the latest. Cason, take us through this verdict.
Well, Ros, it's been a long trial, almost 3 months long, and at the end of it, it's taken 3 days for the jury to reach a verdict. They've found 2 men guilty of murdering Cassius Turvey and 1 man guilty of manslaughter. Now, 2 of those men, Jack Brearley and Brodie Palmer, are the ones who've been found guilty of murder. And what we've heard throughout the trial was that the prosecutor has alleged that Jack Brearley was ultimately the one who chased down Cassius Turvey and beat him savagely with a metal pole, ultimately delivering those injuries that led to Cassius Turvey's death 10 days later in 2022. But they've also found Brodie Palmer guilty of murder just through his actions on the day, and another man, Mitchell Forth, guilty of manslaughter. Now, what we understand through the trial is that Jack Brearley was, the prosecutor said, ultimately was looking for vengeance. The day before that he'd beaten Cassius Turvey, his windows had been broken on his car, and the day after that he was actually out looking for revenge, essentially looking for who had destroyed his windows, and he stumbled upon Cassius Turvey and some of his friends who were walking to a park and ultimately beat him. But I'll take you back to 2022 when all of this was unfolding. A day after Cassius Turvey's death, his mother, Michelle Turvey, was actually speaking outside of court where they had Jack Brearley, one of the men who've been found guilty of murder, in cuffs in the court. And she was speaking outside of the court to the media at the time. I remember she had, her son had just died the day before. Her breath was shaking. She had family around her supporting her, and she called for justice. That was 2.5 years ago, and now justice has been delivered. A jury has found 3 men guilty, 2 of murder and 1 of manslaughter. And those calls at the time from Michelle Turvey actually sparked nationwide action. I remember at the time in 2022, there were vigils around the country, candlelit vigils in honour of Cassius Turvey, and a national day of action where people rallied around the country in crowds of thousands, essentially marching behind Michelle Turvey's message of improving things for children. The slogan that she went with was "Kids Matter." At the time, there was a lot of racial and police tension, especially after Cassius Turvey's death. There was a lot of concerns about whether or not there were racial motivations involved in the attack, but that has been ruled out through the court. But at the time, it was sort of the height of the Black Lives Matter movement from the US, and with that bubbling in the background, there was a lot of concern about the potential safety of Indigenous children out on the streets. Cassius Turvey was 15 years old at the time, and he was a Noongar Yamaji boy, and there was a lot of those racial and police tensions which sort of bubbled to the surface. The court has ruled that out, but even at the time, with that sort of vortex of rage and fury that sort of built around the country, Michelle Turvey, Cassius Turvey's mother, called for calm at the time and really tried to push a message of unity and peace and wanting to find justice without sort of resorting to anger.